In early October 1990, the University of Southern California, the #1 school of cinematic arts in the United States. Professor Anderson Horowitz, majoring in film and video, is reminding the graduating classmates of the precautions for graduation works. Listen, if you haven't taken enough credits yet, I hope you will take enough credits as soon as possible, and start thinking about your graduation project as soon as possible. There is less than one academic year left, and in my experience, if you do well, this will be a rare job. Resume. Wayne. Mr. Greenberg. Sorry, Mr. Anderson, I didn't have a good rest last night. I was thinking about the plan for my graduation project overnight. Wayne, who was in a trance, raised his head, looked at the teacher, and explained sincerely. Look, our Mr. Batman, maybe he went to save the world last night, maybe he came back before dawn. Hearing the laughter, Wayne's expression remained unchanged. He looked back at the talking big man, and continued to listen to Professor Anderson's reminder. If any classmate needs help, you can bring your script or plan and come to the office to find me. That's it, get out of class is over, guys. Hearing the professor finished speaking, Wayne rubbed his forehead vigorously, packed his backpack and prepared to go back to the apartment. He did think about the script for a night last night, and was making choices in his mind even during class. When he was about to go out with his bag on his back, he just mocked Wayne's big man and blocked the door with a blonde woman in his arms. Mr. Superhero, I heard Katie say that you want to make a feature film as a graduation project. Buy it. I hope you can raise money for the film. Maybe I can give you some advice on how much it costs to make a film. Haha. Wayne looked at him lightly, and after he finished speaking with the eyes of a clown, he said to him in a calm tone, Yes, of course I can raise funds. Do you need me to help you collect some? Anyway, yours is relatively short. Of course, I'm not just referring to movies. Everyone knows that you always like to pick up what I have left over. He said, looking at the blonde beauty and shaking his head. Sorry, Katie, I'm not just talking about you, I'm talking about football and cheerleading. Hearing Wayne's words, the big man immediately turned red, clenched his fists, took 2 steps forward, remembered something, and stood where he was. Listen, Mr. Batman, my father has already prepared the funds for me to shoot, and Katie will appear in my graduation project as the heroine. Let me tell you where we are different. After graduation, I will appear on the crew smoothly and start an internship as an assistant director, while you will always work odd jobs in the small crew until you give up. Wayne watched him grow more and more excited, and pushed him away directly, not wanting to waste time on him, just arguing about how important it is to have a good father. He always felt that time was pressing and not enough. It's been 20 years since he came to this era, and he's working hard every minute, absorbing everything he knows about filmmaking. Thanks to the rebirth benefit that may be given by God, a smart mind that never forgets. There are also the study habits of the Chinese in the previous life. He has been a human being in 2 lives, and he is learning everything in the plan at a terrifying speed. Since he was born in 1970, he has made a study plan since he entered elementary school at the age of 5, self-disciplined and firm implementation. At the age of 17, with excellent grades, he was admitted to the University of Southern California, the #1 school of cinematic arts in the United States, and he took enough credits in his junior year. He has prepared a 20-year plan and is about to start the first step, shooting a feature film of his own. The insomnia last night was also because of this, and he fell into the difficulty of choosing. The script he had prepared before began to make him a little hesitant. Coming to the parking lot, Wayne drove a black F-150 pickup truck and was about to go back to his rented apartment. This car was a college gift from his father, and old Greenberg thought a man should drive a big guy like that. The apartment he rents is not far from the school, a 5-minute drive away, which is convenient for him to attend classes. Even if he has enough credits at the beginning of his junior year, he is willing to go to other departments to audition. As long as it is related to film and television production, he is trying his best to understand. Parking the car downstairs, he took out the key and opened the door on the left of the fourth floor. He was ready to finalize the plan and write the script as soon as possible. Just as the door was about to close, the door on the opposite side opened from the inside, and walked out a tall blonde woman in pajamas and carrying a large bag of garbage. "Hey, come back so early, don't you have class?" Wayne looked at the beauty to say hello, stopped the door that was about to be closed, and gave her a careful look. "Yes, I'm about to graduate. I still have something to do, bye." He has been withdrawn since childhood, not gregarious, and does not like to deal with others. The reason for all this is that he has too many secrets in his heart, and he was always afraid to say some shocking words at first, and silence gradually became a habit later. As an adult who lived in his 30s in his last life, he had no common language with his peers since he was a child, and he understood the truth that if you talk too much, you will lose it. Just like the beautiful woman who greeted him just now, if he saw it in his previous life, he would be so excited that he wanted to sign an autograph and take a group photo. The single apartment is not large. There is a bathroom on the left side of the door, and a small balcony in front of it. The living room and bedroom add up to more than 50 square meters. These apartments are generally rented to nearby students, and a small number of them come to Hollywood to pursue their dreams. People, mainly relatively cheap. Lying on the sofa, Wayne was fascinated by the various videotapes on the coffee table. In his freshman year, he was successfully selected for the football team, and after 2 training sessions, he was selected as the main quarterback. The coach looked at him as if he had discovered a piece of gold: strong and flexible body, tough character, excellent athletic ability, and most importantly, his brain that could memorize a whole tactical manual. It's a pity that he didn't have this ambition. He played quarterback for 5 years from high school to freshman year, and tried this exciting sport, but gave up in his sophomore year. And the quarterback who succeeded him was also his backup, the big man who was provocative today, Adam Goodman. The players and coaches always felt that he was too bad for Wayne, but Adam hated Wayne because of this. The two had been in conflict with each other since the sophomore year, and finally had a fight witnessed by the football players. Wayne's boxing was reserved for him. Made a very deep impression. The provocation like today lasted for 3 years, but the ending was always the same. Just a few words from Wayne, who was usually taciturn, made Adam go into a rage, but he didn't dare to do anything. Katie was a cheerleader and had a relationship with Wayne, or almost all cheerleader girls had a relationship with Wayne. Wayne likes her good figure, and she prides herself on having with school figures. There are such girls in every school. As long as their vanity is satisfied, they can take them anywhere. Wayne's high school career from grades 9 to 12, and now his college career, is full of them. They can let Wayne learn to fully relax the tense brain. Gillo's stomach was protesting. He glanced at his watch, it was past lunchtime. Get up and open the refrigerator, take out 2 sandwiches made in the morning, and sit on the balcony in front of the typewriter. Looking at the pedestrians outside the window swallowing their sandwiches, Wayne crackled and typed the name of his graduation project, Happy Death Day. Terry, who was brutally killed on her birthday, woke up still alive. She thought it was just a nightmare on the eve of her birthday. How could she know that the experience after waking up was exactly the same as that of a dream? She was brutally killed on her birthday, and then woke up again. Whether it was a gift from God or a joke from the of death, she was killed an infinite number of times and returned to her birthday morning an infinite number of times. Terry wakes up and then dies, she dies and wakes up again. The only thing she can do is to find out the mysterious murderer who killed her, otherwise she will be trapped in the infinite cycle of birthdays and death taboos, forever. This is his earliest planned movie. The production cost is relatively small, and the time cycle is not new. The old love and family love. Don't think these old routines are bad. Innovation always means unpredictable risks. These Hollywood rotten routines constitute this well-structured dark horror comedy. The main reasons for choosing this film are its clear selling points, low cost, few main actors, and low requirements for acting skills. Moreover, acting is influenced by the emotions of the chief officials. Unless there is too much difference, it is really difficult to judge. This film has successfully proved itself in the past life, and it is not the way that Blair Witch and Ghost Records rely on the tricks of the distribution company. For Wayne, it is how to make it completely. He knows that for the same story, the effects of different directors are completely different. For a full week, Wayne worked frantically. When he was hungry, he called for a burger and pizza, and when he was sleepy, he went back to the bedroom and fell asleep. Sometimes I write halfway through, and then I have to consider the actual shooting problem and go back and revise it again. After he did not know how many times he had revised it, he looked at the script in front of him and nodded with satisfaction. This was the most suitable version he wrote based on the picture in his mind and in combination with shooting and other issues. Pinning the script aside, he started writing the long-planned project proposal. Although he knew that no company would ever invest in him as a novice, and that the film must be made by himself, he still tried to put everything in front of him. This week, he hardly left the apartment. Every meal was hamburger and pizza sandwiches. When he woke up the next day, he could smell the sour smell of his body. Shaking his head and walking into the bathroom, Wayne washed himself hard, picked up the razor and looked at the tired young man in the mirror. He is about 1.85 meters tall and weighs less than 80 kilograms. Yu Ganshu www.yuganshu.com has smooth and strong muscles, a flaxen round head, a tough face, and the characteristics of Jewish descent are almost invisible. The breath of a tough guy is blowing. The most fortunate thing in this life is his appearance, which is the biggest reliance on his taciturn to attract girls. The girls here don't like white little milk dogs, but a typical strong and tough guy like him. After cleaning himself up and putting on a clean suit, Wayne took the script and drove directly to Professor Anderson's office at the school. When? Wayne knocked politely twice before pushing the door in. Professor Anderson was reading the script and pointed to the sofa opposite. It was not the first time Wayne had come here. He skillfully took the cup and took a cup of coffee himself, and sat on the sofa waiting for the professor. The script was not long, 2 pages long. After more than 10 minutes, Anderson put down the script in his hand, took a sip of cold coffee from the cup, and sat beside Wayne. I haven't seen you this week. It's very surprising. Did you go back to the farm to visit your parents? Professor Anderson greeted him familiarly. He was also Jewish. The professor took great care of him from the moment he entered school. Anderson was very optimistic about this smart and hard-working child. He first shook his head and said, I didn't go back. I stayed in the apartment for a week. I didn't go out very much. I kept making plans for my graduation film. Teacher, you know how much I prepared for this day. Anderson looked at him seriously. The child's self-discipline in learning once surprised him and made him willing to help him as much as possible. Of course I know, is that this? Anderson pointed to the file bag on the coffee table. Yes, I brought it as if I wanted the teacher to help me see it. I have been thinking about this plan for a long time. Anderson picked up the file bag on the coffee table and unbuttoned it under Wayne's expectant gaze. He took out the 2 documents pinned inside. The top one was thick and the bottom one was thin. Happy Memorial Day. Anderson muttered softly, opened the thick script, and quickly read it. After a cursory look, Anderson nodded with satisfaction. The script was written entirely in standard Hollywood writing format. Similarly, as the foundation of a play, professional script writing can make every process of film production run smoothly. The management looks at ease, the producer looks at ease, the director looks at ease, and the actors look at heart. So what kind of script is considered a truly professional script writing format? Just like the one currently held by Professor Anderson, the standard is divided into 6 parts. 1. Scene description and character actions. This sentence usually appears below the scene title, and is used to describe the scene and explain the actor's ongoing behavior. 2. The name of the character is the name of the character. If it is a supporting role, you can write kidnapper A, robber B and so on. 3. Dialogue. The lines spoken by the characters, including voiceovers, monologues, and narrations, are all lines. To write clearly. 4. Auxiliary descriptions, voiceovers, and foreign voices should be marked after the character name, and other descriptions should be marked below the character name, which can briefly describe the character's action or state. For example, cough, with a cry, excited. 5. The way of transition, that is, the way of switching between pictures, what we often say is fade in, fade out, in, and fusion, are all transition methods, which are marked when necessary, and generally do not need to be written. 6. The title of the scene, int, is equivalent to inner in Chinese scripts, representing the interior scene. The Hollywood format is inside/outside place-a-time. In Hollywood script writing, the scene title cannot write the scene number, such as the first scene and the second scene, because the shooting sequence of each scene is decided by the director. All of the above constitute the standard script format of Hollywood. Of course, the script of a commercial film with a large cost and a large production is basically above this standard, and it is much more refined, such as the so-called 3-paragraph narrative circulating on the internet in later generations. Professor Anderson read the script for the second time and began to read it carefully. When he saw the absurd setting in which the protagonist was killed every day, he couldn't help laughing. But using the classic Hollywood routine, this story can be justified. Anderson knows that there are some things that can't be taken seriously, and the appeal of this script lies in these subtle designs, which are obviously dark horror comedy with a little cult quality. Your script is a bit interesting. If you shoot it exactly according to the script, it will be very attractive to a considerable number of people, especially teenagers. Anderson put down the script in surprise, which was completely beyond the level of a graduation short story. At least as far as the script is concerned, it is very professional, and it seems that the child's knowledge reserve is very sufficient. Teacher, you know, I have been studying this kind of noir film since I was a freshman. Although I made a few short experimental short films before, they were not recognized by my classmates and professors. Almost all professors except you don't agree with my style. They feel that this kind of movie style with obvious black attributes, or absurd settings, scenes, and the dark side of people's hearts is too niche, so I wrote this, a script with a less obvious style. It's not that Wayne just wants to make such noir films. He was a projectionist in his previous life and watched many films of various genres, but he didn't leave much of an impression. And in the last stage of his life, he liked this kind of noir movie madly. He watched a lot of this type of movie, no matter how good or bad. His biggest advantage is the movie images he has seen in his previous life in his mind, but he has always been a fan of film noir since then, and his mind is full of these attribute movies, so he also took advantage of the trend to study this genre. There's nothing wrong with having a strong personal style, but a movie is a mass entertainment after all, and you have to be clear about the balance in it. It can be seen that you need this script, which is completely beyond the scope of a graduation film, but there are many difficulties in making it. Anderson filmed the script, thinking about the difficulty of filming, and picked up the thin document below. Well, I have to admit that you are better than I thought, and you have made a detailed project plan. If you add a complete project plan, this can already be regarded as a complete commercial project with clear selling points. Teacher, although it is almost impossible for a rookie independent film like me to have company investment, I still hope to make a plan. I definitely dare not underestimate the difficulty of making a feature film, so I hope to make all possible preparations in advance. Some dreamers who come to Hollywood always have the illusion that if they have a good script, a film company will invest. The reality is that the studios don't read your script at all, they read your plan first. If you don't have a project plan, and you, a newcomer, still want to be a director, it's better to go to hell. Countless scripts are sent to film companies every day, and it is estimated that the individual scripts bought by film companies are less than 1 in 10,000. Even if you buy it, you don't know when it will be made into a film. 99% of it will be thrown into the script library for ashes. Why do you let those capitals take a look at the script that has no prospects and give you hundreds of them? $10,000? Even after these years of systematic study, sometimes Wayne would fantasize that someone would read his script, and then swipe a pen and write a large check, enough for him to squander the movie. This is basically fantasy and nonsense. If you want to make a film, the key is to submit a business project proposal to potential investors and film companies, a plan on how to prepare, cast, shoot and produce the film. A rigorous plan. Wayne, with these, I can try to help you get some investment. I've seen a lot of very old directors who are still running around for funding for their first feature films, and most of them actually need this kind of money. Complete project plan. Professor Anderson flipped through a few thin pages of the plan, which took into account all the problems of the film in detail, and even the problems and solutions that may be encountered in the shooting. Although the investment is not high, it is still a sky-high price for newcomers. Newcomers who haven't made any achievements, let alone film companies, even private investors won't take a second look. Anderson hopes to help him find some film funds to support newcomers. Teacher, I have a way to raise funds. The plan I made is prepared according to the funds I can raise. I may not take too many classes, and the time is very tight. I want to make sure to shoot him before graduation. Come out. Okay, your credits are enough to graduate in the last academic year. What you need is to do it yourself and participate in the production of the film. Work hard. If you can produce the effect of the script, I believe this will help you find a job in the future. Absolute advantage. Anderson looked at the young man in front of him. The reason why he was described by his classmates as withdrawn, indifferent, and unsocial is because he spent all his time studying. This is a smart kid who knows what he wants and works hard for it. Wayne drank the coffee from the cup, packed up the script, and stood up to say goodbye to the professor. Teacher, I also made an appointment with an agent, so I'll leave first. Go, if you need any help, you can call me. Professor Anderson tapped him on the shoulder. He left the teacher's office and went to the cafe next to the school. After ordering a cup of coffee, he stared at the pedestrians outside the window and waited for his agent. Although he has lived in the greater Los Angeles area for 20 years since he was born in 1970, he still can't forget the real experience on the other side of the Pacific Ocean just like it happened yesterday. When he was young, he saw a movie called Paradise Cinema by chance, and he went to study to be a projectionist. It was illness that interrupted his more than 10 years of filming career. He became obsessed with noir films when he was passive in the hospital bed. When he fell asleep, he was still immersed in movies every day. God is fair. Reading www.yuyuganshu.com took away his disease-ridden life and gave him a good life in this life. After he was 5 years old, he went to live on a farm in Ventura County with his parents. Although his father was not a very rich man, his family was not short of money and gave him a good learning environment. In this life, Wayne is not ignorant. He is very clear about what he wants and has been working hard for it. The family environment also gave him enough facilities, and all his studies were private schools since elementary school. From childhood to adolescence, his mother took him frequently to visit the cast of his former Friends, and let him observe the world's film factory carefully. Learning to be a director is actually an expensive process. At the beginning of college, buying related books and expensive films, and renting equipment to shoot their own experimental short films, ordinary families really can't afford these expenses. Hi, Wayne. Do you have anything to do with me? God, if you hadn't called me, I would have almost forgotten you, the movie director. Waiter, give me a latte. A young man not a few years older than Wayne pulled out the chair and sat across from him. He was neatly dressed in a suit, and he seemed to be positive. Jimmy, I'm graduating, and I'll start my first feature film right away. I'll need you to help me start recruiting crew members, and a few actors in a while. He looked at his agent. Jimmy approached him when he was in his junior year, a novice agent who had just left the CAA mailroom. He heard that Southern California majored in film and video, and there was a talented director, and he immediately found him. Hoped to represent his brokerage contract. What type of film? Or is it the kind of experimental short film you made before? Jimmy took a sip of coffee and asked Wayne with a frown. In fact, after signing the contract with Wayne, Jimmy soon regretted it. Maybe the genius in Professor Anderson's mouth is just a learning genius? He has seen some experimental short films shot by Wayne, in which a lot of scenes and dark themes make him feel very uncomfortable. Just when he had basically given up on Wayne, he received a call from him today. It's not that kind of experimental film. This time I made a complete plan and script. It's a real feature film, and I need to use it for my graduation film. Wayne knew that he felt bad for the other party, otherwise he wouldn't have contacted him for a few months. But the other party is still a qualified broker. At least he asked him to help rent equipment before, and the other party did not shirk. Are you going to make a feature film? Wayne, I have to remind you that making a feature film and all the stuff you used to do are two completely different things. You can't do it alone. Well, you need me to help you. Who are you hiring? Jimmy reminded him seriously. Seeing his firm eyes, he felt that these were not his concern, he was just his manager. I will contact you in a few days. I need basic crew, lighting, makeup, props, sets, and I can shoot myself. Of course, I don't need the famous ones in the industry, I can't pay their salary, I just find enough professionals. It's fine. Okay, CAA has everything you need. Are you going to build your own crew and make it independently? Yes, so I have to raise funds for filming first. I hope that a company will invest in me. I only work as a director, but it is basically impossible. Hearing his words, Jimmy resisted the urge to roll his eyes, drank the coffee in one gulp, took out the money and put it under the cup. Okay, I'll wait for your call. I have other things to do. I'll go first. Wayne watched Jimmy walk out of the cafe. Maybe he thought he was talking crazy? Putting the money under the cup, he got up and went out to sit in the car. He looked at the document bag on the passenger seat. After finalizing the script and project, the most important point below is to raise filming funds. As the teacher said, many directors who are very old are stuck at this step. Are those directors who run around every day for filming funds without talent? This is actually a strange circle. No one will invest in you until you prove your ability, and you can't prove your ability without investment. A person who is almost 60 years old in his 2 lifetimes, he understands that money is the most important thing. You have all the conditions for success. If you don't have money to produce, you only have the conditions for success. There are many Hollywood who have this condition. Driving to the downstairs of the apartment, he went upstairs to take out a packed box of documents and put some clothes in the car. Then drive straight to Ventura County in the greater Los Angeles area, where Wayne's home is. Similar to Orange County, Ventura County is primarily suburban, with major development and growth going through Los Angeles. But the northern part of the county is dominated by the vast undeveloped Los Padres National Forest, where the Wayne family farm is located. The central and southern parts of the county were originally small towns on the Pacific coast, but since the expansion of U.S. Route 101 into the San Fernando Valley, the cities involved in the master plan began to grow rapidly, and the entire county became more and more urbanized. The San Fernando Valley here is another film and television industry base in North America. But unlike Hollywood, the films shot here are all kinds of for adults. The key is that the scale of this industry is bigger than that of Hollywood, which has a global market. Behind every film and television company, there is the shadow of large capital in North America. It is conceivable how profitable it is. With country music playing in the car, he drove along the road, thinking about whether he was prepared enough or not. Soon he arrived at the Los Padres National Forest in Ventura County, where he grew up on a farm next to the forest, watching the plants in the fields and the cattle in the distance. A place to relax. Entering the farm, and greeting a few cowboys along the way, Wayne parked the car in front of a wooden villa. My father was sitting on the lounge chair under the porch, with a pipe in his mouth, and 2 golden retrievers at his feet. Seeing him open the door and get out of the car, 2 dogs scrambled around him. "Dad, where's Mom? I have something to discuss with you when I come back this time." Wayne rubbed the dog vigorously and sat beside his father. "Well, your mother is preparing dinner. I heard about her new beef stew with potatoes. There is a guy in the herd who is always provoking and fighting. Yesterday I asked James to bring him down." Old Greenberg looked at his son. This time he came back and seemed to be thinner than before. "I hope he didn't touch those illegal drugs." He understood young people, and old Greenberg had smoked some leaf cigarettes himself when he was young, so he was afraid of Wayne getting them. "While Mom is making dinner, Dad, let's go to your study. I have something I want to talk to you about." Holding the things he had taken down from the car, he called his father, and together they came to the study on the 2nd floor, which was also his father's workshop. There is a row of old-fashioned shotguns in this room, and a huge stuffed deer head hangs on the wall. Father sat behind the large oak table, took out a huge revolver, and rubbed it skillfully. Since the old Greenberg moved here to open a farm, he has particularly liked hunting and guns. No matter what he does, he can't do without guns. "Tell me, what do you want to talk to me about? Don't tell me which girl you made a big belly, I might consider giving you a shot with this big guy." He looked at his father helplessly. He has been here for so many years, but he still can't adapt to the American-style father-son communication. He will never forget that when he was 13, his father came to his room at night, gave him a Playboy magazine, and wanted to teach him healthy surname knowledge. "Dad, look at this, I did it." Wayne opened the file bag and handed the script and plan to his father. Father took the plan first and put the thick script aside. Seeing his son take these out, old Greenberg already understood what was going on. It was about a father-son agreement. He didn't want toys or pocket money since he was a child. He helped his father clean guns every weekend, went hunting with him, and watched football with him until he went to college in Los Angeles. The price was that my father had to put up a sum of money to invest in one of Wayne's films after he graduated. After old Greenberg read the plan, he picked up the script and turned it over. He just read it once and put it down. "Listen, Wayne. My set is outdated. I was a producer before you were 5 years old. I haven't touched the industry in all these years. If you want that money, I'll contact you tomorrow. Accountant, but you only get one chance, and if you screw up, I'll help you find a company for an internship." Old Greenberg looked at his son seriously. If he can support his son now, maybe he can only give money. "Dad, what's your opinion? If you started a film company in the past, would this project get your investment?" He really wanted to get the investment that his father had promised since he was a child, but he wanted to know if his father would invest in this project if he was still a producer. Father thought about it and said to him, "From my point of view, you won't get investment. Although your plan is good and you don't need a lot of money, normally I would never invest in a novice like you, maybe not at all. Maybe you can vote for a few small companies to try, but don't have any illusions. Listen, I'll pay for your first movie just because your last name is Greenberg, no second reason." Wayne wasn't disappointed when he heard it. He had long thought of it, that's how this circle is. This is more euphemistically what my father said. If it is a film company, it is estimated that he will not be able to see the executives. It would be very good to let him put down the script and plan and go back to wait for the news. Okay, I'll show my mom later, maybe she can give me some advice. Dad, you know how long I've been preparing for this day, I don't want any problems. Of course, I sometimes think that you may be in a hurry. Maybe you can wait until after graduation to find a film crew first. After a few years of study and work, you have enough experience to make your own movies. How could he not be in a hurry? Seeing that 1991 was coming soon, he knew that every year that passed, his chances would be reduced by 1 year. Yu reading www.yuyugonshu.com. Okay, I'll go see how my mother's beef is doing, and put it back in my room. Wayne carried the box back to the room at the end of the corridor on the second floor, just like when he left, his mother should help him clean often. At the foot of the big bed there are still small nests that he once made for the 2 golden retrievers, but they are definitely not usable now, they are too big. The whole house is simple and warm. There is a desk by the balcony, and a wooden bookshelf stands beside it. In addition to a few books, there are also toys from Wayne's childhood, various comic books and a guitar. The box he brought back contained the experimental short films made by the university in the past few years. There were about 7 or 8 videotapes. After tearing the tape off the box, Wayne neatly placed the videotapes in the bookshelf and glanced at it with satisfaction before closing the door. Go upstairs to the kitchen. Mom, I smelled the aroma before I entered the door. His mother looked much younger than his father. She was of English descent, about 1.75 meters tall, with blonde hair on her head, and was stirring the pot with a spoon. Oh, honey, how was your school day? I watched the beef stew I learned on TV, and it looks like I didn't screw it up. Mother put down the spoon, turned around and hugged him. It's still the same, the credits are enough, but I told the professor this year that I will use the rest of the time to shoot my graduation works. You're going to be a great director, and you'll be proud of your mom. Go ahead and call your dad over and tell him it's going to be dinner. If he's still playing with those broken guns, I'll take all his toys. Throw it away. Hey, dear, I've come down. It seems that you have to find another reason to throw away my collection. Mother had just finished speaking when old Greenberg had entered the dining room. In the restaurant, a rare family of 3 was eating together. 2 golden retrievers were lying at Wayne's feet. They had finished eating the canned dog food. When they were lying there, Wayne would occasionally give them a piece or 2 of beef. He chatted with his mother about interesting things in school, and tasted the beef stew made by his mother. Over the years, he has become accustomed to American food, and only occasionally still thinks of Chinese food. After dinner, the family of 3 and 2 dogs sat on the sofa and watched TV. He took out the document bag and handed it to his mother. Mom, look at this, this is the first full-length film I prepared for myself, and I want to use it as a graduation project. Dad has promised to contact me with an accountant tomorrow, and will invest for me to shoot this film. Mother took the file bag, and old Greenberg consciously turned down the sound of the TV. About half an hour later, as he and Greenberg Sr. sat cross-legged on the floor, arguing about the Green Bay Packers and the England Patriots quarterback, his mother dropped the script. Wayne, actually Mom doesn't like the story, but the project is very feasible. For your first film, it's a perfect fit. I saw your budget, about $1.2 million, but you have to calculate the shooting cost. There will be no surprises or delays, and for a novice, there will definitely be overruns. There are very few main actors, and the requirements for actors are not high. My suggestion is that the heroine should find a blonde woman who is absolutely beautiful, which will help to enhance the highlights of the film. Don't look down on the vase. Wayne, promise Mom, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Wayne listened to his mother's words. He knew that his mother had worked as a first-line producer. Although she was a little old, she still had vision and experience, and her mother was not like her father. She still insisted on writing occasionally and did not completely break away from this circle. Mom, I will succeed. Many people in Hollywood are waiting for an opportunity, and I will never waste it. I don't want to go to various small production groups after graduation. A filming puppet without the post-production rights, this is my only chance to prove myself. He looked at his mother seriously. He also said these words to himself, and he had no time to waste. In this producer-centered Hollywood, he has seen a lot of directors in this circle, most of which are just puppets for filming, and basically do not involve post-production. Only those directors who have been proving themselves and achieving success all the time have the opportunity to express their opinions in post-production. Wayne definitely does not want to be a director who does not even have the right to make editing suggestions for his own films. This is not his pursuit. Of course, honey, Mom believes in you. You will definitely be proud of Mom. The mother stroked her son's serious face. Although he knew that his mother was comforting him, he still felt very moved. His father was willing to pay for his own practice, and his mother always encouraged him to learn more knowledge, which made Wayne feel that he was really lucky to be born in such a family. Okay, boy, if you're willing to give up supporting the Patriots and support the Packers with me, I might consider giving you a little more investment. Father winked at him, then pointed to the TV. Oh, Dad, don't even think about it, the Patriots will win the Super Bowl, watch it. Wayne shook his fist at old Greenberg, took the script and went upstairs to his room. He wanted to start drawing the storyboards as soon as possible, and he had to consider a lot of things. As his father said, he only had this chance, and the old Greenberg would only pay for him this time. If he messes up and doesn't get this expensive Hollywood ticket, all that is waiting for him is to rely on his father or mother's relationship to go to a small TV or commercial crew, and start from an assistant director or lower position to accumulate qualifications, slowly accumulate experience and wait for opportunities. The next morning, he was woken up by the golden retriever. He didn't go home for more than a month. He slept too soundly, and his tense nerves suddenly relaxed when he came home. He overslept and broke the biological clock he developed in school. Hey, two little bastards, get off the bed, you guys are too big. Wayne patted the two dogs and pushed them out of bed. It was past 8 o'clock, and the sun shone on the bed through the balcony, making Wayne languid and making him not want to get up. He went to the bathroom to wash his face and woke up. He took 2 carrots and went downstairs to the horse pen at the back of the villa. Skillfully feed carrots to a black quarter horse, then start cleaning the pen and brushing the horse. This is his 15th birthday present. When old Greenberg bought it back, it was just a pony. As long as Wayne is at home, he cleans the pen and brushes him every morning, and rides it for a lap if the weather is nice. Just like the 2 golden retrievers, the old Greenberg standard is that I will give it to you if you want, but you need to take care of them yourself, and no one will help you. You should treat them as partners and friends. If you can't do it, you will be punished. Usually, the punishment is to help the cowboy do physical work. This is what the old Greenberg taught him since he was a child, that a man should be responsible for his own choices. I have to say that American-style education and Chinese-style education are quite different in this respect. For example, Wayne's biggest impression is that the content of the middle school across the Pacific is in American high schools, but the things learned in American elementary schools are taught in universities across the Pacific. After riding a horse around in a circle, Wayne went back to the second floor to take a shower in a sweat. After changing his clothes, he went downstairs to eat breakfast made by his mother. Mom, where's Dad? I don't remember him getting up early to help the cowboy. Holding the milk, the mother poured him a glass and replied, Do you still want fried eggs? He went to the farm entrance. Howard is coming soon. Your father will pick him up. As soon as my mother said Wayne, she understood that Howard was an accountant for the Greenberg family, who mainly helped their family with tax returns and investments. It seemed that his funds would be ready soon. Just after breakfast, the door was pushed open, and he and his mother came to the living room, just as his father came in with a middle-aged white man. "Oh, Anna, you're still so beautiful. Little Wayne, how was your school day? I heard you're graduating soon. Time flies too fast." The middle-aged white man greeted him familiarly and sat on the sofa. "Uncle Howard, do you want coffee?" "Yes, this year is my last year in college." Wayne poured him a cup of coffee and listened to his father talking to him. "Well, Reuben, I've brought the documents you want, just sign it. But I want to remind you, this is the income from the trust you set up for Wayne. Is it a little early to take out the money now? Internet stocks are looking good right now." Father signed the document, looked up and said to Howard, "This kid will graduate soon, and I promised to invest in his first feature film. Well, the money has been deposited into your account, and you can write a check for him at any time." Without hesitation, my father took out the checkbook and wrote Wayne a check for 1.2 million. Although the family has no shortage of money since childhood, more than 1 million, no matter what era, is a huge sum of money, and I believe it is not a small sum of money for my family. "Wayne, this is a father-son agreement we have since you were a child. To be honest, I didn't expect you to stick to it from how old you were. This is the last money you can get from this family. I remind you again. If you screw up, you'll have to do your own internship to earn living expenses." He was holding a check from his father, $1.2 million, which was a huge sum for Wayne now. If he went to earn it himself, it is estimated that he would not be able to earn this amount for a long time. "Got it, Dad. I understand what you mean, although I know you don't want to believe it, but I will not lose money, and I will earn the money back." After speaking, he solemnly put the check in his pocket, and then went back to his room upstairs. Sitting in his heart, Wayne picked up the phone in the room and called his agent Jimmy. "Hi, Jimmy, this is Wayne. We can start recruiting. I need you to help me find some reliable people." "Yes, I will go back to Los Angeles tomorrow and I will meet them." Hanging up the phone, Wayne waved his fist, and he can finally start. Taking out the check and looking at it carefully, Wayne actually knew that his father had kept him a trust fund a long time ago. But until Wayne reaches his 40s and accomplishes nothing, he can slowly reap the benefits. Although old Greenberg sold the stock of the film company and shared a lot of money, he was only driven out and became disheartened. But the family bought a farm and made a trust fund for him, so it was really not easy to give him more than 1 million yuan this time. The next day, with his mother saying goodbye, he drove out of the farm and headed straight for Los Angeles along Highway 101. After returning to the apartment, he tidied up casually, and came to the agreed Jasmine Cafe. When he entered the door, Jimmy was already waiting for him with some documents. "According to your requirements, these people are the most suitable people I can find. They all have some work experience, but they have not participated in a successful production yet, and their abilities are not bad." "Wait a minute, I'll take a look." Wayne picked up the document. Steve Wilson, lighting engineer. Lily Angie, makeup artist. Ross Will, props engineer. Mia Craig, set designer. Almost all of them have experience in shooting, but the price is not high. "Okay, just them for now. Do you have any suitable actors to recommend?" "The heroine's classmates and best friends, preferably an American girl, oh, and an actor." Yu reading www.yuyugonshu.com. The most important thing is to cheap. Jimmy was looking at the script, and when he heard what he said, he raised his head and asked him, "Where's the heroine? Don't you need me to find one for you? CAA has some novice actors like this." "No, I have a choice for the heroine. Prepare for it. I'll do it today." That's right, the heroine Wayne has been chosen. His neighbor who came to Hollywood to chase his dreams, he has seen each other's movies in his previous life, and it completely meets his requirements. Many plans, he felt that he was incapable of dealing with it. He was just a person. Wayne and his lawyer Ryan first went to Delaware to register a studio, Greenberg Studio. There is no way, his films are destined to be independent small productions, only if there is a studio to sign a contract with the crew, a legitimate company can be more credible than a college student. According to Delaware regulations, as long as he has a nominal office in Delaware, he can even share a clerk with other companies, but it also cost him $5,000. The best place to register a company in Delaware is that there are tax benefits. Basically, Hollywood companies are registered here, including giants such as Disney and Paramount. There is also a professional commercial balance court in Delaware. Even if there is a dispute, it is very convenient to deal with. He met with the staff introduced by Jimmy and signed a contract. Before he had time to know more about it, Wayne went to school again and asked Professor Anderson to help introduce a senior who graduated with good grades but had not yet found a job. Professor Anderson introduced him to a senior, Luke Simmons. Wayne graduated 2 years ago and has been running between various crews, but he was not happy, but Wayne needed him, so he asked him to meet at Jasmine Cafe next to the school tomorrow. Luke Simmons, who graduated 2 years before Wayne and excelled in school. However, what Hollywood lacks the most is talented people. In 2 years, Luke has only been introduced by his classmates and ran through several crews as an assistant director. The reason why Luke agreed to the mentor's introduction was because the mentor told him that Wayne agreed to let him be an assistant director, which was a rare opportunity to allow him to deeply participate in the production of a film. Pushing open the door of the cafe, Luke sat across from Wayne. He knew this junior, but he had never dealt with it before. He raised his head to read the documents and looked at the senior, who was wearing a baggy suit, no tie, and half-worn leather shoes. It seemed, as the teacher said, the senior was not doing well. "Luke? I'm Wayne, the teacher should have told you, right? Let me tell you what I think. You can be an assistant director, but I need a crew coordinator. You have to do it together. The salary will not be too high. The budget is not much. Is there a problem?" Wayne was the first to speak. He didn't have much time, so he could hurry up. "No problem, I can work at any time. Do I need to see my resume?" Luke took out a resume from his bag and put it on the table. Wayne glanced at it and wrote about the experience of various crews. Although it was basically a chorus or a director's assistant, at least he was experienced and had seen one. How a full-length movie was born. "I believe in your ability, and I believe in the teacher more. He speaks highly of you. Do you have any doubts? You can tell everything now. We will be very busy at the beginning of the work." Looking at him sincerely, he was telling the truth. There are still many things waiting for the two of them, and when they are busy, they don't have time to sit down and explain to him slowly. "Wayne, I know you. You have excellent grades, you study hard, and you can be said to be a generalist. I hope you know that I am not involved in your project for that poor weekly salary. I can also act as the coordinator of the crew, and even the field duties and chores. But you have to make sure that the film will definitely be finished, that it will not be half-finished, and that I must be able to deeply participate in the production, even in the later stages of the film." Wayne thought about it for a while, and it wasn't a big problem. "Okay, here are the materials and script attachments of my studio. You can get to know me first, give me a call, and work will start tomorrow." Handed Luke the information. He needed to understand it as soon as possible and enter the working state. In Luke's experience, the job of coordinating the crew should be able to do the job, so Wayne can put down a lot of chores. The coordinator of the crew, this position is very important in the crew, but it is very inconspicuous. It is like a person who specializes in handling various chores of the crew. It is best to have participated in the operation of the crew and have experience. Generally, no one who is arrogant is willing to do this job, but this senior brother obviously doesn't care. The next day, Luke came to Wayne's apartment as scheduled. "Sorry, Luke, I'm a bit messy, but I don't have much money and I need to save it, so I can't rent an office space, I can only make do with it. Wayne brought him a bottle of water and tossed aside the videotape and dirty clothes on the sofa. It doesn't matter, you are very lucky to find the filming funds. I think you have basically found the crew members. What do you need me to do now? Have you read the script? It's probably like that, and there won't be any other changes. Haven't you been in other crews? This is the camera equipment I need, you should be familiar with it, go to a few more places to ask. Price, find a cheap rental company. Wayne handed him a printout, then went back to his seat and continued to draw the storyboard. These materials were all found by him in the past few days. It can be said that renting equipment is very important. Prices vary widely, and Wayne has to save money. Okay, give me the phone number of your apartment, I will contact you if there is any situation. Luke shook his head with the information, opened the door and went downstairs to find the rental company for an inquiry. He had read the script yesterday, and it basically did not conform to the content of mainstream movies, which made him a little discouraged. The movie starts with the protagonist being killed, and the protagonist is killed in the middle. There is also an old-fashioned time loop to solve puzzles. A horror comedy film with obvious black attributes, this type is a carnival of niche fans at first glance, and the investment must be very small. But that's right, if you want to make mainstream movies with this amount of money, it's just wishful thinking. Anyway, Luke is not very optimistic about this project, but he is reluctant to take this rare opportunity to deeply participate in film production. He doesn't care what Luke thinks. Now he has to worry about drawing the storyboard, considering the arrangement of the camera, and at the same time, he has to call Jimmy to communicate about the actors and crew. Wayne grabbed his hair, put down his pencil, and was about to go downstairs to buy a pack of cigarettes. During this time, he was under too much pressure and was about to pick up the hobby from his previous life. He knew it was not a good habit, but it helped him relax his mind and refresh his mind. Hey, you don't look very good. You feel a lot of haggard, you smoke leaf cigarettes? Trust me, boy, that's not a good habit. Just as he closed the door, a neighbor's greeting rang from behind him. No, I won't touch that stuff. Maybe I need regular cigarettes to relieve the pressure. I'm going downstairs to buy 2 packs of cigarettes. Do you have any plans for today? Ms. Watts? Have a coffee together. Wayne tentatively asked the beautiful neighbor. Are you going to your house? Are you sure you have coffee in your house? Not those little umbrellas. Well, I'm fine, maybe I'll be back in a few days, maybe Hollywood isn't for me, maybe I should go back and continue acting. Annual commercials, TV shows. He shrugged, she obviously misunderstood, but judging from what she meant, she shouldn't hate herself, at least she agreed to the invitation, so she didn't explain. Opening the door that had just been locked, Wayne invited her in and said to her, I'm sorry, it's a little messy. I'm too busy during this time, and I'm not in the mood to clean the room. As he spoke, he picked up the dirty clothes that were littered on the sofa and the floor, and put them into the washing machine in the bathroom. Omega! Your room seems to have been visited dozens of times by a group of thieves, too busy? What are you doing? I can hardly see you going out, maybe you should show up at school instead of cleaning yourself up. Where did you put the garbage bags when Tian was locked in the apartment? The beautiful neighbor watched him scrambling to clean up, found a garbage bag, helped him throw all kinds of household garbage into it, and picked up hamburger packages, pizza boxes, and drink bottles that could be seen everywhere in the house. Yes, I'm graduating soon. I wrote a script by myself. I'm basically preparing for this time. I plan to shoot him, and I'm lucky enough to get the investment. Thank you for helping me clean up my room. No, I think you're pretty good at doing housework, you know, the pretty girls I know usually don't do that. Wayne held his hands and leaned against the bathroom door, watching her put all the garbage in the bag, then picked up the broom and swept the living room. Can I take this as a compliment? Do you think I'm beautiful? Boy, my sister taught you one thing, that is, the next time you want to ask a girl to go home, clean the apartment in advance, otherwise no girl will be willing to go with a girl. Dirty lads roll the sheets, even if the lads are handsome. The beautiful neighbor looked up at him, swept all the into the bag, opened the door and put it at the door. Is she beautiful? Undoubtedly, she has blonde hair, slender waist and long legs, a delicate face, and a slender figure with bumps. What is rare is that her appearance is completely in line with the Oriental aesthetics. In his previous life, he had shown King Kong himself. Of course it's beautiful. It can be seen that you must have been insisting on maintaining your body, especially when you look at you from a close distance. It's very spicy. Oh, sorry, I'll go make coffee. When he brought the 2 cups of coffee to the coffee table, the beautiful neighbor wiped the surroundings with Wayne's ripped t-shirt, and then nodded relievedly and sat on the sofa. Okay, I didn't expect you to have coffee at home. You said you wanted to shoot the script you wrote yourself? Can I take a look? At least I've been through a few tricks. Wayne watched her take a sip from the cup, licked her lips. Woo, very tempting. I was embarrassed to stare at her, so I quickly turned around and picked up the script and handed it to her. Here, talk about your own feelings after reading it, from the perspective of an audience. The beautiful neighbor took over the script, and Wayne watched her read it slowly, taking a sip of coffee from time to time. I have to say it was a stunner, especially when I was young. Well, let me tell you my feelings. This film is obviously made for young people, or students. Middle-aged and elderly people are not interested in watching this type of horror film. In addition, I think the story may be a little thin and a little old-fashioned. Sorry, I don't know much either, but I know it might work for you, at least it doesn't cost a lot of money. After watching The Beautiful Neighbor, she tilted her head and thought for a while, and spoke slowly. Wayne tapped the script with his hand, looked at her and said, Are you interested in the heroine? You should see the setting, blonde, beautiful, you have it all. What do I need to pay? You know what I mean, if I want this heroine. Believe me, I can play this role. Hearing Wayne ask her, the beautiful neighbor immediately looked at her seriously. Halfway through the script, she realized that this was an opportunity, a starring opportunity that was at your fingertips. Wayne thought about it and said to her, This role doesn't need any acting skills, you should see it, as long as it's beautiful enough. I can tell you in advance that the pay for this role is not high, or even very low, at most $20,000, and I don't have much budget. No problem, I can call my agent to sign the contract tomorrow. You should understand that I need this lead actress opportunity. What else? Would you like to audition for my acting? I know the rules, if you want something in return, you have to give something. Of course, he knew that she would definitely not miss this opportunity after reading the script. The opportunity is more attractive to actors. All the handsome men and women all over the world are waiting for an opportunity in Hollywood. Although the hope of success is very slim, there are still countless people who come here one after another. No, there is basically no need to audition. This play requires the highest appearance for the actors, as long as they are eye-catching. A beautiful woman is constantly being killed and destroyed, so that she has the ability to attract people's attention. Did you invite me over just to have a cup of coffee? Boy, trust me, my acting is great and you will definitely be satisfied. The beautiful neighbor said. She put down the script, picked up the coffee and licked it lightly, then pulled up Wayne's belt, and slowly the two walked into the bedroom. Oh, maybe your acting skills will surprise me a lot. Wayne murmured and followed her. Of course he didn't mind what happened, after all the beautiful neighbors fit his aesthetic perfectly. The audition in the bedroom continued until the evening. The two went downstairs and drove to the convenience store to buy 2 packs of cigarettes, pizza, and some small umbrellas. His stock was used up in the afternoon, and the beautiful neighbor obviously did not intend to leave. While he was eating pizza, he took the time to draw a sub-shot on the balcony. The beautiful neighbor was wearing his white shirt, eating pizza, and watching the script. "Wayne, I just called my agent and she's coming over tomorrow to sign the contract. You know, if I don't have this role, I'll be flying back to Australia in 2 days and continuing to do some TV shows or commercials and polish my acting skills. So, don't screw it up. If you don't want to fly back to the motherland in despair, this is important to me and you. If you screw it up, I will definitely not be able to find any more investment, and you may also leave here." He didn't lift his head, he was drawing while talking. "Well, don't you think it's getting late? Maybe I can show you some more special acting skills, won't you come to audition?" Wayne watched her turn around slightly and lift up the white shirt, turned back to hook his tongue, and slowly twisted towards the bathroom. Looking at the blood-sucking scenery, he whistled, put down the pencil in his hand. The two entered the bathroom together. After a crazy night, just like in the movie, Wayne wakes up to the beautiful neighbor making breakfast. It seems that if a woman does one thing with purpose, it will at least make a man feel very comfortable. Hearing someone knocking on the door, Wayne, who was in a daze, opened the door, and there stood a middle-aged woman in business attire. "Excuse me, is Miss Watts here? I went to the other side, but she didn't go back." He stepped aside, and when she came in, he closed the door and went to the bathroom to take a shower. "Hey, Jenny, do you want some breakfast? I made scrambled eggs and bacon." The beautiful neighbor greeted her and put the plate on the coffee table with a smile on her face. "Listen, you shouldn't pay this for a novice director who hasn't graduated yet, a small independent film that you don't know if it can be finished. This circle is very messy, especially the independent film circle. Much more is promised." The agent of the beautiful neighbor was obviously not optimistic about this project, and felt that she should not be so impulsive. Seeing her clothes, she understood what happened last night. "Oh! Damn, I've been coming to Hollywood for almost a year, what have you done besides introducing me to a few tricks without lines? If I don't seize the opportunity, I'll have to go back to Australia and act in a stage play. Go to the commercials, those Bai Chi will definitely lie on the ground laughing, at least he is handsome, isn't he?" Jenny has nothing to say about it. She has signed a lot of actresses and doesn't have so many resources for a newcomer, even if she is beautiful. Wayne waited in the bathroom for them to finish talking, then pretended to have just come out of the shower, pretended not to have heard everything, and sat at the dining table for breakfast as if nothing had happened. "Excuse me, Jenny, is it Jenny? Someone will send a contract in a while. You know, if an actor wants to sign a contract, an agent must be present." He turned his head to his agent and said, "This is very normal in Hollywood," and he didn't take it to heart at all. At least this agent still has the idea of protecting clients and reminding them. Such an agent is just qualified. Just after 8 o'clock, Luke knocked on Wayne's door with a large package of materials. He gave them a brief introduction. He picked up the information that Luke brought. First, in the witness of Jenny, the beautiful neighbor signed the contract. Actors who can be popular are really hard to find. King Kong after more than 10 years has left a deep impression on him. The rest of the information was a contract for leasing equipment, and Wayne signed it after reading it. "Wayne, what about the hospital? Where are you going to shoot the exterior of the hospital in the script?" Luke asked him. "I remember there was an abandoned mental hospital in the suburbs of Orange County. Let's take a moment to observe it. Well, if it's appropriate, we can arrange it. I don't have the funds to set up a studio or rent it from a commercial hospital." He also had no choice. He didn't dare to let go of spending money. Without the control of the producer or the production manager, he could only save every penny by himself. "That's it, today I'm going to see Jimmy's clients, and I hope CAA's rookie actors will do well. We will have a meeting tomorrow. When you're ready, go straight to school to start the shooting. The filming cycle can only take 2 months at most." Allow time for post-production. Okay, you are the boss, you have the final say. Wayne shrugged and continued to Luke, the two of us have to go to Vincent High School in Orange County in the morning. I want to shoot the school's drama at that school. I have been to that high school, and the conditions are very suitable. The premise is that we can persuade the school to allow us to go in and shoot. It's not a day or two, it's going to take a long time to shoot. Luke looked at him helplessly, took the coffee handed to him by the beautiful neighbor, and said to Wayne, "It's very difficult. Even in a public school, the teachers don't want the crew to enter and disturb the teaching. What's more, the one you mentioned is a private school. We went in to shoot. If there is a complaint from the parents of the students, the school will face punishment. It depends on how to convince the principal, Luke. Our condition is that the name of their school will appear in the movie, clearly, and we can also give the school a few places, and choose a few children to be the background in the movie. I would tell the principal that this will help their school to raise its profile and make it easier for them to enroll. In addition, letting children participate in the shooting of a movie will help increase their enthusiasm for practice." He was very thoughtful. If it was a public school, it would be hard to say. Private schools were not necessarily the case. His choice was not limited to this one. "Okay, it's 9 o'clock, man, we have to leave soon. Ms. Watts, you can do it yourself, and lock the door for me if you leave." He put on his coat, took the car keys, opened the door, and walked out with Luke. "Hey, Wayne, I should be reading the script here. Do you need me to prepare lunch for you?" The beautiful neighbor is obviously not a simple person. "No thanks." The two of them went downstairs in a pickup truck and headed straight for Orange County, which is almost a small city in the satellite city of Los Angeles. Luke drove the car and saw Wayne was still reading the documents on the co-pilot, and couldn't help but ask him, "Wayne, why Orange County?" "What? I mean, why go to Orange County, if it's not more convenient to shoot in Los Angeles?" Luke explained. "No, it's not the same, Luke. Believe me, in Los Angeles, we have no chance to find a school without spending money, and the surrounding Orange County is the most suitable. Accommodation and other things are cheaper, and the abandoned mental hospital I first saw is also in Orange. Suburbs of the county, I'm going to think about it all." He put away the information and explained it to Luke seriously. "Throat, are you thinking about the cruise room and board now?" Luke was surprised. He didn't expect the filming location to be determined, so he gave priority to these. He also had a helpless expression. "I don't want to, but I don't have a production manager, and you're new here. I need to prepare everything in advance, and it's not a set plan. I'm sleeping now thinking about the problems I'll encounter in filming." Luke, who was driving, heard what he said, and suddenly felt that this guy might be successful. "Otherwise, I'm really sorry for his hard work. I hope this film can be made into theaters." All the way to Orange County, Wayne was instructing Luke to coordinate the preparations for filming, especially the props. There was only one prop engineer and at most 2 extras. Luke had to help. Luke parked the car at the gate of the school, sat in the car, took out a notebook, and recorded the work Wayne asked him to prepare. While thinking about it, he is still cutting down. His enthusiasm for work has at least completely driven this senior. About an hour later, Luke saw Wayne get into the car with the contract and asked him, "Wayne, how's it going? Are you down?" He shook the contract in his hand and showed a rare smile. "Of course, there is no need to rent the venue for the school, and the school will cooperate with us to shoot. The price is that their school's name will appear in the movie for 5 seconds, and then let a few children play tricks." UU reading www.uugonshu.com as a social practice. To be honest, it was not easy. Fortunately, he brought studio materials and project materials to increase his persuasiveness. "Nice job, shall we go back?" Luke started his bike, ready to go back. "No, Luke, there's one more thing I need you to do. I called and booked a small hotel, and I need you to negotiate the price. If it suits us, our crew will shoot here for about a month or two." Wayne pointed him the way. 2 blocks away was Wayne Consulting's small hotel. The hotel has a total of 3 floors. It looks like a building from the previous year. The mottled walls are full of traces of time. The two parked the car and walked in together. Wayne told Luke, "Although their offer is not high, I still hope to press it again. You work hard. If the negotiation breaks down, I will take over, so you won't have to find a new one." After entering the hotel, he sat on the sofa in the lobby, watched Luke go to the front desk to inquire, and then be led to the back. Half an hour later, Luke came out and nodded to him, and the two of them kept going out and driving to Los Angeles. "Wayne, we haven't decided the exact number of people yet, but the price I negotiated with the hotel is already very low. I said that we will stay for about 1 to 2 months, and they will provide 3 meals. When we count the number of people, come back and sign the contract." He thought it was okay. Anyway, his request was to save money as much as possible, because he was not sure whether there would be accidents in the shooting. "Okay, but yours will open soon. In the afternoon, I also made an appointment with my agent, Jimmy, to see his clients. He recommended a supporting actress and a leading actor. They are all new actors he just signed." He looked at his watch, it was almost noon. Luke listened to him and gradually increased his speed. When Wayne and Luke opened the door and entered, there was an awkward atmosphere in the apartment. The beautiful neighbor was sitting on the balcony holding the script, looking at the girl sitting on the sofa with strange eyes. Jimmy led a beautiful girl and a young man on the sofa waiting silently. Seeing them come in, several portraits suddenly came to life. Jimmy stood up, pointed to the girl he brought, and introduced, "Hi, Luke. Wayne, these two are my clients. She's Ms. Uma Thurman, and this is Mr. Ethan Hawke." Wayne nodded wearily, motioned for them to take a seat, wait for himself first, and went to the bathroom by himself. After washing his face and changing his clothes, he sat back across the sofa. "Wayne, have you had lunch yet? I went to buy pasta, do you want me to cook some for you now? My pasta with cheese bolognese is great." Before he could speak, the beautiful neighbor put down the script and walked over, wrapping his arms around his neck, but looking at the sofa strangely. He shrugged, and sure enough, Hollywood doesn't have a simple, somewhat helpless voice to her. "No, Luke and I had burgers on the way. Jimmy, this is our heroine, Naomi Watts." Naomi took advantage of the situation and said hello again. "Hi, Jimmy." "Hi, Ms. Watts." Before they could continue their chat, Wayne interrupted them, picked up the resume on the coffee table, and said to the girl opposite, "Uma Thurman, I see on your resume that you have already made a feature film, right? Kiss Dad Goodnight. Well, I haven't seen it, can you introduce yourself?" Uma first stood up and turned around. After Wayne could see his figure clearly, he sat down and said, "I'm Uma Thurman. I was born in Boston, Massachusetts, USA on April 29, 1970. Now my family lives in New York. I made my first appearance in the movie in 1988. It was The Kiss Dad Goodnight, in which he played a special seduction man-girl. When I was 15 years old, I was discovered by a model agent on the streets of New York and became a cover model. After shooting dozens of magazine covers, Jimmy showed me the script, and I thought I could be the heroine." The girl introduced herself confidently, watching Wayne look down at her resume. She believed that she could definitely impress this handsome young director. When Wayne heard her words, he raised his head to look at her in surprise, and saw Naomi sitting on the balcony, silently saying, "BXXXH." He frowned, first glanced at Jimmy. Jimmy must have told her which role to play, but now it seems that this girl is a little careful and well prepared. "Ms. Thurman, your experience has been good, at least among the newcomers. I want to tell you again, I need Laurie in the supporting role, not Terry in the lead. If you can't play it, I can only say sorry. After saying that, without looking at Uma, she turned to look at Jimmy. Jimmy also frowned, and then said to him, Wayne, she can play the role of female supporting Laurie, trust me. After speaking, she turned her head to look at Uma, as if she was saying I saw it, I told you already. Wayne, I can play the supporting actress Laurie, of course, I mean, if you need, I can also try the heroine. He lit the coffee table with his hand, took out a Marlboro and lit one, looking at the woman through the smoke he exhaled. It can only be said that the actresses who succeeded later did not have a simple mind. Even when he was still young, he knew that he would try his best to fight for opportunities for himself. Seeing that nothing could be done, he immediately turned around to keep his original role, and showed his confidence to the director. This role won't be paid too much. I think Jimmy must have told you in advance. I'm very satisfied with your image. If you want, you can sign a contract in a while. You can think about it first. He turned his head and looked at Ethan Hawke, who was still very young and handsome. Mr. Hawke, can you introduce yourself? Of course, I'm Ethan Hawke. I've acted in 2 films, both small roles. In 1985, I starred in Rush to the Sky, and in 1989, I participated in the filming of Peter Weir's feature film Dead Poets Society. I've read the script. This male protagonist, in my experience, has no problem at all. After listening to him, Wayne put down his resume and said to him, my film, the main characters are the hero and heroine and the supporting actress, because the investment is not high, so the conditions are as I said, the pay is not high, but if it goes well, the shooting cycle will not be long, if you can accept it, you can sign it now contract. Of course, I can sign at any time. Hawke thought about it before he came. Maybe this is an opportunity. Even if he can't enter the theatre, at least he can have the experience of playing the leading role. Wayne gestured, Luke took out the prepared contract and put it in front of Uma and Ethan. Jimmy looked and nodded to both of them, indicating that it was all right. In fact, Jimmy told them all about the situation in advance. If they were not sure about participating in the show, they would not be able to be brought in. Witnessed by Jimmy, the 2 happily signed the contract. Seeing that they had signed the contract, he smiled and clapped his hands, thank you for your trust. Tomorrow, I will arrange all the crew members. Everyone will get together for a meeting. When we are ready, we will rush to Orange County to shoot. It is estimated that the shooting cycle will be about 2 months. You should prepare in advance. Jimmy nodded to him, indicating that there is no problem, and asked him again, Wayne, what about the other characters? It's all based on your clients, CAA should have no shortage of these new actors, for the role of the teacher, find a handsome one, and leave some of the other tricks to the school. I promised the principal to give them a few children's social practice opportunities. No problem, leave it to me. After speaking, Jimmy stood up, greeted Luke, took his 2 clients, and went back to prepare. Immediately after, Luke also said hello to Wayne, and went out to prepare the props for the hospital. He leaned on the sofa tiredly and closed his eyes, dealing with one thing after another, which made him a little tired physically and mentally. A pair of hands pressed lightly on his head, and the massage squeezed him, making him feel a little more comfortable. Wayne, are you not feeling well? Wayne opened his eyes and held the massage hand on his head. It's a bit of a headache, maybe because I've been too busy recently, and my mind is full of film production preparations. You know, it's a bad feeling. It's like someone is whipping you hard with a whip, making you have to move forward. Naomi came over and sat beside him, gently hugged the man's head and placed it on her chest. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. If you are tortured by stress and get sick, the crew you just set up will collapse immediately. So you have to find a way to relax and don't always think about work. Smelling the smell of the bath lotion on Naomi's body, he didn't have any other thoughts at all. He just tried to relax himself. Sometimes it's really nice to have a woman by his side, at least Wayne hasn't enjoyed a warm embrace for a long time. He hugged the blonde beauty with his back, and Wayne unknowingly fell asleep on her pillow. When he woke up again, he found himself lying on the sofa with a blanket and pillow under his head. Sitting up, rubbing her eyes, she saw Naomi was making dinner in the open kitchen. "Oh, sweetheart, I'm sorry, I fell asleep, what are you doing? I feel like I'm starving." He lifted the blanket, walked behind Naomi, and hugged her gently. This woman made him feel very comfortable, no matter whether the purpose was simple or not, at least it made Wayne feel her intentions. "It's okay, I didn't sleep for a long time, about 3 hours, you're too tired." Naomi felt the tone of the man's words, and the corners of her mouth slowly turned up. Giving is always rewarding, isn't it? Wayne leaned on the cabinet and watched her pour the meat sauce over the cooked pasta, took the initiative to carry 2 pasta, and walked to the coffee table. "No way, I can't stop, stop means failure. This side is very good, like you said, your pasta is great." Naomi also lowered her head and ate the noodles, trying to make a request to the man opposite. "Wayne, I don't like that Uma. She is too scheming and greedy. Maybe you can try to make more choices." Of course he saw it, it's not surprising. His mother once told him that if there are more than 2 women in a crew, the lower limit of their tiering can exceed the cognition of normal people, especially 2 beautiful women. "Listen, I have signed a contract with her. As long as she fits the role, I have no reason to make any other choices. Your mind should probably be on the script." Wayne replied to her indifferently. Seeing Wayne's reaction, Naomi didn't take it to heart, but immediately changed the subject and discussed the transformation of the heroine Terry before and after. "This woman is very smart, and she won't lose anything if she tries it out. If Wayne is a little dissatisfied with Uma, she thinks it's worth it." After eating the pasta, Wayne called the Jasmine coffee shop he frequented next to the school and made a reservation. Tomorrow he will gather everyone in the crew for a meeting, let everyone get to know each other, and see if there are any issues that have not been considered in the preliminary preparations. The location of the school and the hospital have all been determined, and there are not many scenes left. Just find roads and bridges with few people. In fact, there are already many tricks in this film. For example, the heroine Terry is killed again and again, and the scenes are too simple. Moreover, the subplots are all drawn according to the pictures in his mind, and the camera positions have been designed almost in advance. Because of the finished pictures in his mind, the film should not be used too much. There may also be a lot of film money left over without needing to shoot too many useless shots. This leaves room for mistakes in shooting, not overruns, and enough money for post-production. Fortunately, there are no special effects in this film. Perhaps the biggest props expenditures are tomato juice and masks. At 7 in the morning, Wayne got up and started to prepare materials. "I put everything I needed in my bag neatly," looked at Naomi who was still wearing makeup, shook her head and said to her, "We have to hurry up, go there early, I can't be late for this project planner." "Okay, I'm fine, I can leave at any time, do you want me to help you get your bag?" Naomi dropped her eyebrow pencil, came over and hugged Wayne's arm, taking the document bag in his hand. Wayne didn't refuse, he quite enjoyed the beauty of the beauties, which easily gave men an unparalleled sense of accomplishment. He took the car keys, locked the door and went downstairs. He drove the blonde beauty straight to Jasmine Cafe. When they parked the car and entered the store, no one came. The 2 of them asked for coffee and sandwiches, and waited for everyone as breakfast. Luke was the first to come, and he was very enthusiastic about it. Perhaps it was Wayne's work attitude that infected him, or it was the first time he was deeply involved in the production of a movie, which made him sleep well. Then came the crew one after another. Wayne had only met them once, so he was relatively unfamiliar. Everyone has nothing to gossip about, just a simple self-introduction, and they all silently wait for others. At 7:50, Jimmy walked in with Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke. The three of them pulled out their chairs, sat down, and Jimmy said to everyone, "I'm sorry, it looks like we're late, I hope it didn't cause any trouble to everyone. It's not even 8 o'clock, so you're not late. Okay, everyone is here. I don't think you're familiar with it yet. It doesn't matter. You'll get acquainted with it when the shooting starts." Filming started 2 days later. The filming location is mainly in Orange County, and the scene in the school is at Vincent High School. I have negotiated with them. When I officially start filming, the school will help to clear the scene and provide some necessary props. Rose and Mia, if you need props in school, you're welcome, coordinate with them. Lily, if you need a makeup room, you can ask Luke to coordinate a classroom with them, we don't rent makeup trailers. Is there a problem? Seeing that everyone had arrived, he began to arrange work with everyone. Seeing the props artist Ross and the makeup artist Lily nodded, Wayne continued, "For the hospital scene, there is an abandoned mental hospital in the suburbs of Orange County. Luke, we only use half of the first floor. You have to take a look with Ross and arrange it in advance." "I'm sorry to interrupt, Wayne, it seems that Mia and I can't handle the props and sets. I need help." Ross listened to him about setting up the hospital, and knocked on the table to remind Wayne. "No problem, Luke, find 2 more temporary workshops. Any other questions? About the props and sets?" "Not at the moment. I'll take a look at it when I pass by. If there is a problem, I'm looking for you." Wayne nodded at him and continued, "These are the 2 main locations, the scenes are concentrated, the scenes on the road and the tunnel in the middle, and in the end, I'm looking for an empty road and a bridge hole to shoot. If the shooting cycle goes smoothly, it will take about 2 months. I hope everyone will show a professional attitude. This is the case. If there are any questions raised now, when the official shooting begins, I don't want the work to be interrupted." After speaking, looking at the group of people around, the crew was rudimentary, and in the end there were only a dozen people in the group. Seeing Gaffer Steve raise his hand, Wayne motioned for him to speak. "Where did we live in the past? I'm sorry, I'm just afraid that it's your first time making a film, and there are some things you can't take into account." When he finished speaking, Luke answered him before Wayne spoke. "The hotel has been booked in advance, and the food and lodging are all there, not far from the filming location, 2 blocks away." Seeing Steve nodded, he continued to look at everyone. He knew that he was a novice director, and these crew members, more or less involved in the production of the film, they will definitely doubt themselves. As long as they work, no problem, everything else is negotiable. To him, this may be a job for about 2 months, and nothing else represents it. Anyone who has read the script setting knows that this small investment alternative horror film has little hope of success. "Well, since there's no problem, let's go back and prepare separately. We will gather at the entrance of the cafe in the morning in 2 days, and there will be a car to take everyone there. By the way, Jimmy, is it all right for the actors?" Everyone got up and walked out together. He asked Jimmy again worriedly. "No problem, don't worry, except for the role of the teacher, finding a handsome middle-aged man, leaving a few background tricks for the children in the school, nothing else is difficult, and newcomers are especially easy to find." Jimmy finished talking to Wayne, nodded to him, and drove away first. He also took Naomi back to the apartment, and he breathed a sigh of relief after the arrangement. The first stage of work was finally completed, and the rest was just about shooting. It was then that he finally understood why the teacher always said that a movie is the result of the efforts of all the crew members. He didn't have a casting director to help with casting auditions, and he didn't have a producer and production manager to help manage funding and crew issues. There were no photographers and camera assistants to help arrange the shots, and there were not a few assistant directors to do separate framing shots. To be honest, these early arrangements made him physically and mentally exhausted. After trying his best to build up this rudimentary crew, he felt that his clones were useless, but what should be arranged still had to be arranged. At least he was moving forward step by step. Picking up the phone, he dialed Luke's number. "Luke, this is Wayne. Tomorrow, you will confirm the bus you rented, as well as various equipment, and put them on the bus in advance, so that there will be no accidents." "Okay, I'll arrange to load the car tomorrow afternoon." Hearing Luke's answer, he sat on the side of the balcony with confidence, and continued to draw subs hots. Naomi finally went back to the opposite side, allowing him to draw drawings and think about those who were not ready. He pulled out a piece of paper from the typewriter and slowly marked it with a pencil. The location was slowly finalized, and props, photographic equipment, and scenery were all in place. Wayne had to personally review these before filming to make sure there were no problems. If there is a mistake in this preliminary preparation, it will definitely become a big trouble in the shooting. If there is a slight delay in shooting or shooting accident, it is possible to overrun. If the budget is exceeded, it may really be abandoned because of money. We also need to consider this rudimentary crew, which was cobbled together for the first time. It is inevitable that there will be problems with tacit understanding. Well, then we should give priority to shooting relatively simple scenes in the early stage, and find the state of the actors, which can also help the crew. It can be seen that these two main girl actors will definitely not deal with each other during the filming, but Wayne believes that under the constraints of the contract and the smooth completion of the film, they should be driven by possible job qualifications and interests. "Disagree, do your job first." His mother told him when he was young that there is no harmonious crew in Hollywood. Wayne knows this, but there are differences and conflicts between them, even if they conflict, as long as they don't affect the work. Otherwise, Wayne will definitely let him. The cost of actors is really not high anyway. Here is a collection of film talents from all over North America and even the whole of the West. Beautiful women and handsome guys. Hollywood or Los Angeles, the most notable thing is the young actors who are not in their early years. Regarding the role of the female supporting role, when he first thought about it, he also thought about using ethnic minorities in order to make the film politically correct. Later, he rejected it himself. This was the early 1990s, and it was not the time when life was expensive in later generations. At that time, he shook his head when he thought about it. If the main creative team did not appear black in a film, it would be racist. If black people are the villains, it's racism. If it's not black people who save the world, it's racism. Even if your ex-girlfriend isn't black or brown, it's racist. To be honest, he has been here for 20 years, and he has come into contact with a lot of people of color since he was a child. Even private schools cannot avoid people of color. What he hates most is Nico. These people are lazy, they are proficient in stealing, kidnapping, cheating, and sampling, but they can't learn to support themselves and their families. So even if his future movies are not going to use that kind of black actor who feels good about himself, when necessary, he can consider the black-skinned and white-heart type of Will Smith, the black brother who is trying to integrate into the mainstream society, is the real wise man. Dang, you reading www.yuyugonshu.com. Dang. Wayne was writing and drawing line by line on the paper when he heard someone knock on the door. He rubbed the whole piece of paper vigorously, threw it into the trash can, got up and opened the door. "Hi, although it's only been less than half a day, I still miss you. Are you still working?" He saw Naomi standing outside the door playfully, and frowned when he heard what she said. "Naomi, we are just friends." After hearing this, the beautiful neighbor's expression remained unchanged. She looked at Wayne's expression and said, "Of course, we are good friends. I'm here to invite you to dinner at my place. You shouldn't have arranged for lunch, right?" Wayne closed the door and followed this playful blonde beauty to the opposite side. This woman was always testing herself, Wayne thought. If this movie messed up, this woman would probably turn her face faster than she turned a book. The layout of the apartment is the same, the difference is that her room is obviously much cleaner than her own. It can be seen that this woman likes cleanliness very much, and may even be a little bit clean. There is a small dining table beside the open kitchen counter. On top were 2 large plates, each with a piece of steak, and a bottle of red wine. After he sat down, he lowered his head and realized that his steak was obviously large, obviously taking into account his appetite. Naomi, sometimes you're such a hot little wildcat, and sometimes you're a careful perfect lover, so charming that people want to hide you in the house, just to own your beauty alone. Naomi looked at this elegant man who was slicing the steak and talking sweetly, but knew that it was good to listen to it. It only took 2 days for her to see through this man. These will only stay on her lips, and she will never stop her steps because of any woman or emotion. The man on the opposite side was very politely helping Naomi to pour the wine. Although she didn't ask Wayne's family, she could see that this man should come from a good family. These are taught to children from an early age. Wayne, do you like being hot and active, or do you cook lunch for you gently and carefully? Or you don't have to think so much, we have 2 more days off, you can lock me in this room and slowly possession. Naomi picked up the goblet and touched him lightly. After drinking, she slowly licked her lips with her tongue. He knew that this man liked this. Well, my dear, it's only noon, don't tempt me to turn into a rough monster in broad daylight, you know how charming you are now. Wayne looked at her, trying to suppress his urge to move. Then do you want to talk to me about something? Or we can talk about each other's childhoods, you know? I'm especially curious about your childhood, what made you, not like a young man, like an old-fashioned workaholic all day long. Naomi is really curious about him. It can be seen that he has a strict life plan for himself, and is still insisting on completing it. At this age, what should be done should not be partying every day, wine and beauties and leaf smoke. Hearing her words, Wayne didn't care. He just slowly picked up the glass, took a sip, and said while thinking, well, I have almost no memories of childhood, and I am learning knowledge in advance almost every day. Since I was a child, I knew what I wanted and studied hard for it, so I seemed out of tune with my peers. They said that I was withdrawn, ruthless, and not gregarious. In fact, I just couldn't play with them. The only relaxation is to accompany my father to shoot guns and watch football on weekends. Later, when I was 15 years old, my father gave me a foal, and the daily relaxation was more to take care of the ponies. By the way, I also have 2 golden retrievers. They are very cute, lively, and very sensible. When I was studying and working, they would always lie at my feet and accompany me. When I was bored, they would play with me again. That's about it. What about you, why do you want to be an actor? After he finished speaking, he suddenly felt that his childhood was really boring. Naomi looked at him helplessly, that's all? Didn't expect you to be precocious to boring. Well, when I was 15, it was 1983, I remember very clearly, my mother invited me to watch her musical, and I was deeply moved. Shocked, I swore at that moment that I must be an actor. Later, I applied for the drama school and studied acting. Although I occasionally played a few small roles, my career did not develop as smoothly as I thought. No way, in order to support myself, I went to the book to be a model for a year. Feeling that I couldn't waste time, I returned to Australia and worked as the editor-in-chief of the fashion magazine Follow Me, trying to see if I could enter the fashion circle. In the end, I was not reconciled and came here, the dreamland of actors, Hollywood. He watched Naomi fall into memory, and after listening to her experience, it turned out that there was no easy way to succeed. In fact, if she hadn't met herself, she might have returned to Australia. Then 2 years later, I was unwilling to come back here again. After 6 years of small odd jobs in Hollywood, and 6 years of supervising, I would have my first chance. It will take until the age of 30 to become a late bloomer, starring in Mulholland Drive and becoming famous. Only then will the following Midnight Bell, 21 Grams, King Kong, Birdman be nominated for Oscar. Sorry, I lost my mind. It doesn't matter, you are beautiful even if you are distracted. After he had eaten and drank enough, he began to think about that. This is also a hard-working and patient woman, and he does not deny that he appreciates her type of woman. I heard you're going to transform into a superhero, like in the comics? Come in. Let me see how you transform into a rude. Don't you like feral cats? Trust me, I'm good at playing Catwoman too. Mr. Batman, are you coming to a rough audition for your Catwoman? Naomi obviously didn't refuse. Anyway, this strong man is very attractive. She slowly knelt on the ground and crawled forward like a kitten step by step. You'll see, kitty, let's go to the bathroom, and I'll transform to show you. You like rough? No. Who made you get up? Like just now, the little stray cat won't get up and walk in by himself. Bathroom. He took off his shirt and walked into the bathroom first. The next morning, he woke up from hunger. He touched his waist and felt sore all over. It seemed that he was too indulgent under the influence of alcohol. Looking at the little wild cat lying in her arms, she was probably exhausted. Unexpectedly, her hobbies are quite unique, and she also has a feeling of being unable to stop. Hey, dear, you're awake, do you want me to get up and make breakfast for you? Just as Wayne looked at her, the woman opened her eyes and asked him. Forget it, you're exhausted too. Maybe you can stay in bed and craft as a reward for your hard work last night. Have you ever eaten Chinese food? He said, putting on his shirt, and turned to ask Naomi. Naomi tilted her head, the quilt slipped to her waist. She didn't care, she thought about it before saying, Chinese food? I think I've had it, General Tso's chicken, like fortune cookies. Originally, Wayne had already walked to the door. Hearing her words, he felt a little unbearable. Hey, sweetheart, the stuff you eat is definitely not serious Chinese food. Those are all changes to adapt to the market. I remember you have spaghetti at home. After explaining, he walked to the living room and glanced at the refrigerator. That's right, there's pasta, and there's tomatoes and eggs. That's simple, tomato egg noodles, pure Chinese breakfast. These Chinese dishes that Chinese people can cook are difficult for Americans. Over the years, Wayne has hardly done any of these, and today he is just in a good mood. It may be okay for Americans to eat Chinese food once in a while, but they are definitely not used to eating it often. This is related to eating habits. When he cooked the noodles and put them on the small dining table, he nodded in satisfaction. It seemed that cooking was engraved in his soul. Went to the house and called Naomi, and the two sat at the table to eat noodles together. Wayne first saw that she was really used to eating before eating his own with confidence until both of them had eaten the hot noodles. Slumped in the chair together. Wayne, it's hard to believe that you actually know how to cook Chinese food. I can't see that you, a workaholic, still likes these. It tastes so good, it's amazing. I just liked the culture, language, and food there for a while. I also took Chinese as an elective, and I can speak Mandarin well. Sometimes I really envy people like you. As long as you want to learn anything, you can learn it quickly. Naomi looked at him enviously. She was telling the truth. She really envied their brains that were blessed by God. They didn't have to struggle to learn anything. Okay, Naomi, the rest time can only be until noon. I will contact Luke in the afternoon. He will prepare the rental car and equipment. If the painting is not finished, the shooting plan also needs to be revised. He picked up the clothes that were thrown everywhere, put them on slowly, put on socks, and retrieved 2 leather shoes. Isn't there still one morning? Do you want to go out for a walk? During the rest time, don't think about work first. How about we go to the Avenue of Stars? Naomi looked at his neatly dressed clothes and suggested the arrangement for the morning. Wayne thought about it for a while, and felt that it shouldn't delay anything, so he nodded. Then you have to hurry up and change your clothes and make up. I don't want to waste time before going out. I'll also go back to take a shower and change my clothes. When you're ready, call me. After speaking, he opened the door and walked to his apartment. He and Naomi, like a pair of ordinary tourists, walked hand in hand on the Avenue of Stars. These streets in Hollywood, California, are the holy places that film and television, culture, drama bands, and musicians yearn for. The lot includes more than 2,500 five-point terrazzo and brass stars inlaid on the sidewalks along 15 blocks of Hollywood Boulevard and 3 blocks of Vine Street. UU Reading Book www.uugonshu.com. The stars represent eternal memorials to those who have made outstanding achievements in the entertainment industry, recording the names of actors, musicians, directors, producers, musical groups, theatrical groups, virtual characters, and others. The Walk of Fame is maintained by the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce and the self-funded Hollywood Historical Trust. This is a famous tourist destination. According to reports, as of 2003, about 10 million tourists visited the site. Wayne, do you think my name can be engraved on these stars in the future? I think you can definitely do it. I have seen your attitude towards work. Naomi put her arms around Wayne and walked slowly, looking at the names of the stars on the ground. Now she only hopes that one day she can also be engraved on these stars, which is also the ideal of no one who comes to Hollywood to pursue their dreams. No, Naomi, I don't know if I can do it, but I believe that your name will definitely appear on these streets in the future, and it will be engraved here forever. He was telling the truth. Although these stars will become much cheaper in the future, it may be that a rich person is willing to spend money to leave a name, but it is still very valuable now. Based on Naomi's possible achievements in the future, he can definitely leave his name. Even if her own butterfly its wings, it is impossible to blow her success away, it can only come early. Even if there are changes, there is still myself. Although I don't want to have a fixed girlfriend, if the movie is successful, I will have the opportunity to ask her to play a classic and famous in the future. Do you want coffee? Let's go there and sit for a while? Wayne, I've been here countless times, and every time I come, I still have illusions. Naomi pointed to Starbucks, saw Wayne nod, she pulled him to the roadside under the umbrella. He accompanies Naomi to sit under the umbrella, drinking coffee, watching passers-by in a hurry. In Hollywood, which pursues efficiency, the people who walk in a hurry are generally practitioners in this industry, and those who are not in a hurry to hang out slowly are mostly tourists. Let's go back, Wayne, I believe I'll keep my name here in the future, and I'll live in Beverly Hills too. Naomi looked at the direction of Beverly Hills in a daze, and pulled Wayne to the way home. On the way, Wayne drove the car and looked at this suddenly silent woman from time to time. Maybe this is what motivates her. It is undeniable that everyone is working hard for those fame and fortune, but everyone who can persevere deserves his respect, because he is also one of them. The holiday was over, he declined the invitation to go to the apartment opposite, went back to his room, and took up a pencil against the California sunshine at the end of October. 2 days passed in a flash, and he quietly painted at home for 2 days of subs-hots and made a 2-day shooting plan. The shooting plan is probably a reference. No one can guarantee that it will be completed every day, or that it will be completed in half a day. He just wants a reference. November 1st, 8 in the morning. He drove the pickup, followed by the crew and various filming equipment, prop cars, to the film set, Vincent High School in Orange County, Los Angeles. Luke has already driven to the front. He will go to the hotel to sign the contract, and then go to the school to coordinate in advance. It was nearly 10 o'clock when Wayne led the motorcade into the school. Fortunately, the place that needs to be used has been cleared, but there are some children, curious about the filming process, surrounded the team from a distance, watching the staff arrange the machines and the scenery. He got out of the car and looked carefully to see the road from the dormitory to the outside. This was the first scene to be filmed. Because these scenes were relatively simple, he took the purpose of training the crew and filmed them first. After watching Naomi simply put on makeup, lighting, props, scenery, and Luke all gestured okay to him, he adjusted the monitor and walked to the camera. The main photographer is Wayne. He didn't hire another photographer. He did a good job. After adjusting the camera, Wayne walked up to Naomi, who looked a little nervous, and said to her, "Naomi, let's try shooting first, don't be nervous, this scene is very simple, you just need to come out of the dormitory, see various classmates along the way, pay attention to the expressions, don't be too exaggerated, be natural, especially watching to the fainted classmate." "Okay." Naomi smoothed her hair and nodded in agreement, "Okay, I can handle it, no problem." Seeing that she understood, Wayne walked behind the camera with satisfaction, and he wanted to follow along for a while. Happy Sacrificial Day, the first scene, the first trial shooting, start. Naomi came out of the dormitory again, looking around strangely, while walking forward. After a few steps, Wayne shouted loudly, "Cut!" Immediately afterward, he walked to the confused Naomi, and instructed her carefully, "Naomi, pay attention to your facial expressions, you are not a little trick anymore, you are the heroine. The camera will zoom in on your face in high definition throughout the whole process. Don't use too much force and be natural." Naomi might be a little nervous at what Wayne said, so she asked, "Sorry, what should I do? I don't know how to express that confused feeling without expressions." He stretched out his left hand, pointed Naomi's eyes with his index finger, and told her patiently, "You are a movie actor, use your eyes, don't say you don't understand." After speaking, he turned around and walked, and said loudly to everyone, reset all, Luke, you go and direct those extras and tricks, let them return to their positions, let's try again." With the second test shot, Wayne called to stop again halfway through. This time Naomi was much better than before. There was progress, so he reset and continued for the third test shot. The third trial shot was inexplicably smooth. From Naomi to various actors, from beginning to end, this one was particularly smooth. He felt that while he felt good, he immediately shot it. All departments are reset, and the real shooting begins. "Lily, Naomi is refinishing the equipment. This time it is real shooting." Wayne pushed the camera and saw that Naomi was ready, so he looked at the lighting engineer, and when he saw him nod, he was ready to start right away. Happy Sacrificial Day, the first scene, the first act, start. Naomi just took 2 steps, and before 2 seconds, he stopped again, this time he ignored the actor, walked directly to Steve, and said to him, "Steve, the light is a little brighter. The background is too dark now. I need the heroine Terry to come out in a sunny day, so that there will be a sense of contrast when the light changes later." "Okay." Immediately, they started filming again, and the students who started to watch the film, which they thought was a mysterious filming, were such a boring thing, and they all began to disperse slowly. Happy Sacrificial Day, the first scene, the first act, the second time, start. With the sound of the recording board, the whole team followed Naomi and walked this road that I had walked several times. This time I felt very good. Just when it was about to end, I heard Wayne screaming again. "Stop! Luke, go tell the fainted child, what does fainting mean? Tell him not to look at the camera, fainting means to close his eyes full of curiosity about the world, go now, immediately." He was also a little helpless, and he was about to end this one very smoothly, but the problem happened to the actors. He could no longer hold back his irritability, he could no longer hold back his anger. Once again reset, make up, start. Stopped again, this time it was the lighting engineer who didn't master the lighting well, and there were obvious changes in the shot. He was very annoyed by this stupid mistake. Reset again, start. The extra actors continued to have problems, either looking at the camera or taking the wrong position. It started again. Naomi's mood was affected and became unstable. Just when Wayne was furious and was about to start spraying people, he shouted and rested. Sitting on the director's chair behind the monitor, he lit a cigarette and tried his best to suppress his anger. He knew in his heart that these were the things that the new crew had to go through, and that everyone had never run in before, so it was inevitable that some cerebral palsy mistakes would occur. The staff in the crew also need to get into the state and slowly find a point of tacit understanding. But he still couldn't hold back his temper. At this moment, he finally understood why directors were generally violent. The reason for letting everyone rest is to let everyone ease their nervous and anxious emotions, and he also eased a little. He knows that losing your temper will not solve any problems, but will only deepen everyone's negative emotions. After smoking a cigarette, he looked at his watch. It was already 12 o'clock. He got up and walked to the camera, looked at everyone, saw everyone gesturing, ready to light up for Naomi head down, signaling to start immediately. Happy Sacrificial Day, the first scene, the first act, the 19th time, start. As Naomi walked out of the dormitory building, everyone followed her to start this simple long shot. Maybe it was because of rest, maybe because everyone was hungry, and the unexpected went smoothly. Originally, Wayne did this one. Prepare for the day. Okay, this is over, everyone rest and have lunch. Everyone looked at Wayne behind the monitor, and they all breathed a sigh of relief until he was satisfied with what he said. He took the hamburger from Luke and watched the film just now while eating it. He shook his head. He didn't expect it to start off smoothly. It took a long time to shoot a shot of more than 10 seconds. Planned. He still underestimated the difficulty of filming. Just as he took out the director's notebook and revised it, he found a person sitting next to him and handed him a cup of coffee. When he took the paper cup, he realized that it was Uma Thurman. There was no show for her today, but Wayne saw her watching it all morning and didn't leave. Wayne, you know, just now you looked so gloomy and terrifying, everyone thought you were going to turn into a furious hairdryer. I didn't expect you to be able to suppress your anger and concentrate on your work. You know, I ran a few times too. The crew, there are only a handful of directors who can do that, and you did a great job. Uma Thurman watched him take the coffee and took a sip before sitting beside him and talking to him. Wayne glanced at her and replied, "Getting angry will not solve the problem, it will only make everyone irritable with me. I am the producer and director of this project, and everyone is watching me. I can't take the lead in making the work harder for everyone." Uma raised her eyebrows. This is not the first time she has seen a director who can suppress her emotions instead of venting them. Reading www.yuyuganshu.com can suppress her temper is a successful director, but her purpose is not to send coffee to Wayne. Wayne, I think I can understand your stress. How about having a drink together at night? It can at least temporarily relieve anxiety. After speaking, Uma put down her own coffee, and lightly scratched the back of Wayne's hand with her fingernails. Before he could say his refusal, he felt another person sitting beside him. "I'm sorry, Ms. Thurman, Wayne invited me to dinner tonight. If you have other business, next time." Naomi sat down, stared at Uma and said. Uma turned her head, and the two stared at each other. Wayne could clearly read their eyes, clearly saying BXXXH. "Uma, I have to revise the shooting plan at night, and I have to arrange the shooting plan for tomorrow. There is a lot of work. Next time." Wayne said something to Uma, but without waiting for her to respond, he got up and went to Steve's side to discuss the lighting for the shoot. Steve gave him a good feeling. Although Steve may be the most difficult to contact in the crew, his ability is above the standard, and he can find the feeling he wants right away. Luke hurried over and whispered to Wayne, "You'd better go over there and have a look. Just now, your props master, Rose, had a quarrel with Mia on the set. As soon as Wayne heard this, his head felt bigger, and he asked Luke in a low voice, "Do you know why? It's impossible to quarrel for no reason, right? The two jobs are a bit related, but they don't seem to have a good temper." At first, Ross sat in Mia's chair, and then he didn't know why. The reason was absurd, but he thought it might be very big, and he walked towards the two of them while thinking about how to solve it.